Hello everyone and welcome back. This is Midnight Mailman here, and we're going to just do a little bit of grinding here. Gonna see how many Pokemon I can catch in 30 minutes. 367, number to remember. Let's see if I can remember it for 30 minutes. That might be a challenge. And let's just start chugging away. So my idea with this, I'm going to try and make it a series. Just basically be grinding and chit-chatting with y'all about all this random stuff, mostly related to the game. Maybe I'll start getting into other things that aren't exactly related to the game, but we'll see. So for me at least, Bagon Community Day was yesterday, and wasn't able to play too much. I had to work for basically the whole time, so that was really unfortunate. I still did manage to take away 2 shinies, and I did evolve 9 Salamence. So really excited about that, considering I basically had to work the whole time. I definitely am not complaining by any means. But with that whole thing, of course, Salamence getting the special move Outrage, and there is now a whole nother debate on kind of like Lick versus Shadow Claw, in my opinion. It's a little bit more interesting in terms of it is really interesting, in my opinion, because the thing with Lick versus Shadow Claw is we have a very high energy gaining fast move that still has a pretty decent amount of damage per second, coupled with a really insane charged move, which has always been a huge debate since the beginning of the game, basically. Like, what's better, high energy gaining fast move or high damage per second fast move? And it came down to some situations Shadow Claw is better, some situations Lick's is better. And I think it's going to be sort of the same thing. All the numbers aren't quite out. The simulators can't exactly perform 2 charge moves, at least the major ones can't yet, in terms of Pokebattler, and then I think the other one is Game Pass, that is the main other simulator that we don't quite have yet. So, kind of still waiting for the simulators to figure it out. That'll give us a more definite answer. But for now, the only thing we can really do is run specific battle simulations and like either hand crunch all of the numbers, which was Ryan Swag's approach, or we can do what King did and max a bunch of Salamence and add second charge moves to all of them and see how it performs, comparing it directly with Rayquaza. Now, theoretically, they should both have the same thing. Unfortunately, they did both do it in different situations. Ryan Swag, he took his example to Latios, which was really interesting. It did turn out in his breakdown that Salamence theoretically has higher damage per second as a mixed Salamence than Rayquaza does, with just Outrage, because Rayquaza does not have access to Draco Meteor. And then King, he did a different situation. He did Windy Weather against Giratina Origin as a duo, and he used all Salamence, and his partner on a different team used all Rayquaza, and they tried to perform as optimally and similarly as they possibly could, but Rayquaza hit a breakpoint that Salamence did not hit, and thus, in general, Rayquaza will be way better in that situation, as the evidence showed. Which brings me to wondering which one will be better in most situations. Theoretically, Salamence should be. But without actually having the simulators in front of us, it will become really hard to tell. In addition, Salamence will be way more challenging to use without running all the numbers beforehand and just using it. Plus, like in general, just one Draco Meteor and then doing outrages after will be better. But again, some raid scenarios, you won't be able to get that first Draco Meteor off. So it's really going to be really interesting how it breaks down in the long run, which becomes better over the course of time, and which one will be better. But as for now, it seems that it will basically trade places. In terms of ease of use, definitely siding with Rayquaza, because it's just, easier to use and all that. However, on the flip side of that, there is a significant ease of access for most people, considering Bagon Community Day was yesterday, in terms of people being able to access Salamence. A lot of people got Outrage Salamence, and it's pretty good. On top of that, because Bagon Community Day was yesterday, everyone has a plethora of Bagon candy in general, with the exception of me, because I wasn't really able to play, so I'm pretty low on it. But most people, they do have a lot of Bagon candy and are able to power up their best Salamence and give it that second charge move. However, Rayquaza, not everyone has a massive amount of Rayquaza candy like I do, and thus they'd have to put in rare candies, which rare candies are very expensive. You can only get them from raids. You guys know the whole drill. But it is still, it's interesting. The Stardust cost, it's definitely siding with Rayquaza on that side. So if you have way more rare candies than you do Stardust for whatever weird, twisted reason, then Rayquaza definitely makes more sense from cost-effective perspective. And also, Rayquaza will hit the Dragon Tail breakpoint earlier than Salamence. So in general, Stardust costs are leaning towards Rayquaza over Salamence, which is definitely very interesting, in my opinion. So that's kind of the gist of it and what I think about that whole situation. I think it'll mostly be some raid situations, one will be better, some situations the other will be better, and that's kind of how I'm going to treat it. I'm definitely going to be powering up a lot more Salamences than I thought I was going to, because I totally blanked on the fact that Draco Meteor is technically more energy efficient than Outrage, so I was not prepared at all for this occurrence, to say the least. But it is definitely a welcome surprise. So, not bad. 35 catches or so in the first 10-ish minutes. So I need to, this next section will be a lot better. So I should be still able to get to at least 100, maybe a little bit more than 100. I'm shooting for 120, but we'll see what actually happens. Unfortunately, like this leak that's like right next to each other, these two huge spawn sections, it's like slightly less than 30 minutes. So I have to either start somewhere or go somewhere after. And either way, it's slightly inefficient because it normally includes like a 3-minute drive or something like that to make up for the cost. But it's not all bad. Because, like, 3-minute drive, it's alright. Not the worst. For sure. I can handle a 3-minute drive. Oh, goodness. So, the other thing that I kind of wanted to talk to you all about is how I built my route. Because it's not like I just woke up one morning and there was a map sitting in front of me with this is the most overpowered route in your area, and that's how it worked. And honestly, I think that might be like a way in the future, like using some of these scanners once they start working to just scan the whole area for the spawn points and figure out like this is the most optimal loop for spawn points, period. But until then, until we get like a super OP software like that, I'm basically going to do what I've always done and just eyeball it and do this more brute force method of trying to figure out which one is better than the other. So basically my brute force method is like I did for this round, took an image of what it was right before I started, and then I'm going to be looking at it right after the star piece expires and seeing where it's at, see how many catches I do in 30 minutes, and that's just the comparator. Basically just what's the best way to go to maximize the amount of stardust I get. And so that is the goal. We will see what ends up actually happening. I know like certain areas, like every single time I do this route I'll get well over 100, usually like 110, 120. And that's kind of the average. If it is increased spawn, I'm like using my research tasks or whatever, depending on how excited I am, I will do more. Like right now I'm pretty chill. Like you're pretty chill and you're doing that much. Yeah, it's pretty chill. I am at over 100,000 catches, and I did only start in 2017, so yeah, definitely pretty chill. Compared to what I can do. If I was like trying to hit the most I've ever done, I'd be driving a whole lot faster than this. And I would not be doing it at the time I'm doing it right now. I'm doing it at around 9-ish o'clock, so there's still a little bit of traffic here and there, but it's not too bad all in all. But if I was gonna do it like really well, I'd want to do it at like 1 or 2 in the morning. Nice. So that's kind of like where I'm sitting at in terms of this route and what I think about it, etc., etc. This route is definitely the best area in my town for just catching a lot of Pokemon in a short amount of time. Now there is an area up north that might, if I explored it enough, might be able to get close or pass it, but there isn't any Pokestops whatsoever. So it's really... Oh, I'm getting a lot of lag. I'll just go in here and turn around real quick and hope that everything comes back. So, where was I? Yeah, there might be an area up north of here a little bit that has more spawns, like one of my friends was showing me at. But I'd have to like explore it extensively to figure out whether it's better or not. And like it would take a lot of time, and it's a bit of a drive from where I live, and I don't think it'll be that much better, so I'm not gonna do it. That's the long and the short of it. And also it's a really long drive from any Pokestops whatsoever, so it's like, yeah, not exactly optimal. Like this route can dump me out right where there's a bunch of Pokestops, and like 18 Pokestops every 5 minutes kind of thing. So like, even though there's not a lot of Pokestops in here, this is like a huge natural spawns area at a grocery store. There is spawns along this route, and it can dump out in a huge area of Pokestops. So it can even-ish out. Like, as you can tell, I started this with a lot of Pokeballs and Great Balls and stuff. And I'm basically... Oh, okay. Oh, that's not going to happen. Well, this is going to be mostly inefficient. Just got stopped by this light right here, which is pretty unfortunate. So as you can tell, I have like a research right there, and it may come into play later, but sometimes if you click on a Pokemon right as it's disappearing, then it can trigger a race condition and like half crash your game. It's not like a full, the app closes out and everything and you have to like restart it, but it does like prevent you from selecting Pokemon and spinning the mini map and zooming in and out and all that. So the fix to that is just going in, clicking on encounter. You don't even have to collect the encounter, you just have to click on it, and it mostly fixes it. It auto corrects everything, and so that's a really nice trick that I figured out. See how good this is. Not near as good. Only like 24 catches there. Oh, that was an 8er. I got stopped by the light, so benefit of the doubt, 8 minutes. Normally that area is better, but wasn't as good this go around. This area right here is really big and really good, so I'm not really concerned that I'll have to not have spawns for the rest of the star piece, but I am curious whether I will hit the over 110 mark. I should hit over 100 still. I don't know if I'll hit over the 110 mark or not, or over the 120. I would be slightly surprised. I mean, there were a few catches that I didn't transfer, so both go arounds, but it does give like a slight comparison of the two. Also, like the parking lot that I started at was way better than than normal, to say the least. But on the flip side of that last parking lot that I was at was not near as good as normal. Plus, I was running into traffic the whole time, and it was kind of just brutal. But, you know, you do what you gotta do. Like, you didn't see the traffic, but it was pretty annoying, to say the least. Can't wait for it to... come on, I can click that. I cannot click that Roselia. I was trying to click the Roselia. I freaking clicked on the stop instead. I lost the Roselia. But not worth going back for at all. Unless if like I knew it was a hundo and then maybe. But still. Too inefficient. Gotta maximize efficiency. So yeah, that's another tip that I have. If you're in like a relatively high spawn concentrated area and you miss a spawn, just don't worry about it. Keep going to the next ones. Like, it's not that big of a deal missing one spawn. If you're about to be at a spot where there's like 4 spawns, 4 is greater than 1 kind of deal. So it's just, the more you do it, the more you'll learn how to do it and how to stay optimal while missing occasional spawns here and there. So, and like, if you're like, I don't even know where to start, I don't know how to make this awesome route that you have to get a ridiculous amount of catches in a short amount of time, well, I definitely did build up to this. So it didn't start as like this ridiculous over 100 catches per 30 minutes and all that craziness. Like, it started, like the first few times it was like over 80, over 90, like sometimes I'd hit over 100, just because I knew that this general area right here was really good. And then like I started incorporating extra areas, started taking slightly different routes, and slowly but surely it advanced to this really good route. Now, how do you do that? How do you find all of these areas if you're starting scratch? You have no idea where you want to start, what to do. Just have your game open and look at different stores, restaurants. Like, some good places that I'll drive by that have good spawns is like a barber shop, and then like a grocery store, and like a clothing shop, and like the best ones are the Starbucks. Those are really good. They're like dense concentrations of spawns, and like they're in good spots to access other areas. Same with like phone provider stores like Sprint Store and AT&T and those sort of things. Those are always really good. So just drive by those, see where all the good spawn locations are, write them down. Like, there's a spawn area that's south of here, but it's kind of by itself. It's like 20 spawns that you can reach from like one location, basically. So it's really, really good, but it's the only thing in the entire area that has good spawns. So there's very little reason. Well, I mean, there's an apartment complex that's kind of far away, and yeah, it's just like, it's really just not worth it for me to go down there. Even though if you're down there, it's really good. Like, sometimes if I'm just driving by, I'll stop in and clear it out. But that's the sort of thing that you got to look for. Just look for all these spawn locations, find the ones that are closest together, and then just link them all together and clock it. See how many catches you can do in that short amount of time. That's another spawn ring. Pretty cool. Not exactly common where I live. I don't know if they're common where other people live. Need to look at that later. Yeah, like one of my messages was like the map, and then 2 others were level 40s trying to contact me about various stuff, mostly about the Bagon move, or the Solomon's move, talking about it, giving me their opinion on it and what they think is good. And normally it's like basically Solomon's Array. It's really it, and it's really an interesting toss-up between the two. I was just waiting whenever they introduce second charge attacks for them to do something like this, because like I've seen like little things similar to it, like Electivire with Wild Charge and Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch being a 3-bar charge move and Wild Charge being a 2, but you don't really see that coming into play very often. It doesn't really change that much. It's really hard to utilize, and it's really an interesting concept, to say the least. If the 3-bar charge move was like really fast activation time, like I guess a good example would be like Leaf Blade. I'm really sad that those spawns disappeared, because I was just on my way driving out, and it would have been perfect if they didn't disappear. I'm gonna try and loop back for them. Wow, that was a bad throw. Y'all didn't see anything. It didn't happen. If anyone asks, I did not throw that. Well, that was a total waste of time. I should not have tried to loop back for him. I should have just forgot about him. See, like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, just little things like that. Just, like, forgetting about spawns because of staying for them is slightly inconvenient or whatever. Like, that little glitch probably costed me, like, I don't know. Well, that's convenient. That little glitch probably cost me 3 spawns, which was really sad. And like it might have costed me extra time. So yeah, that's mostly disappointing. I gotta love Niantic, you know. But I don't know if I'm gonna make it to this next big spawn cluster, or the last big spawn cluster. The last big spawn cluster. Try saying that 3 times fast. Good God. Before my star piece ends. I don't know if it's gonna happen. We'll see though. It might. As you can tell, I've gone through an ungodly amount of Pokeballs and stuff. Like, this is my second loop. It's ridiculous. The amount of Pokeballs I'll go through in the span of 30 minutes. But I find it fun, so there's that. Oh, stupid Niantic, man. There it goes. But we'll see how much I actually end up with. I think I've got like a minute 20, minute 05. So let's see. I'll start my count for the last minute right now. So this Caterpie will be 1. This Wurmple will be 2. Oh, come on. There's nothing in here. Nothing at all. Normally more spawns. There they are. I can get those last. All on the star piece. 3 if Niantic cooperates. Oh, come on. 4. 5. 6. Alright, that's it. Let's take a look at how many. I totally forgot. I think it was like 60 something, so I probably hit around 120 catches, which is definitely not bad. Anyways, thank y'all so much for watching. I hope y'all learned something about how to make your routes and how bait or Salamence is and how a level 40 plays in this specific area. So anyways, I'll see y'all in the next one. I think next time I'll talk about raid groups. Y'all are free to give me a discussion, like how did I form my raid group and how successful are we, what do we do, and all that. Anyways, see y'all in the next one. Bye bye.